All right, let's get into it. Let's do some watercolor painting. Sir DK Lizer doing some dancing off to the side here before we get started. All right, so first of all, everybody, welcome to the studio this evening. I am so excited to paint along with everybody. Here's my little reference photo over there. Let me show it to you. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger for you. There it is. This is a little tiny town just north of me. I think really just one family lives there, but there are a number of buildings. The town used to be bigger. It's got this little wedding chapel in it. Back behind the wedding chapel, there's a pottery place, and on the street in front of this, there's a glass blower and a creamery, and not much else. Oh, there's a winery at the top of the hill. Not much here, just a little artist community and whatnot, but it's such a cute little place to go. And I've painted it before. I just didn't think I could not do a painting of somewhere around here without doing Harmony, California. It's such an interesting little place. I'm hoping to do some other places around here. I like to paint those things that are close to me, those things that I have some connection to, and I think if you paint those types of things, you're going to do a little bit better. You're going to put a little bit more, I don't want to say effort into your painting, but I think the painting means a little bit more to you, and sometimes that really shows in your painting. So that's where I'm going with all of this, if any of that makes any sense. And I just noticed I forgot to bring my white gouache over here. I'm going to need it for these lights, I think. All right, anyways. I'm busily mixing some paint over here on my right-hand side. So while I do that, just let me tell you, I'm using my Bao Hong artist grade watercolor paper again for this one. And we'll talk about that as we go through some of the goods and some of the bads that we find from that. Mostly goods. I've been pleasantly surprised by this paper. Let's see, the brushes that I'm using, this one aside, this is a Dana squirrel haired brush, a quill brush. I very much like these brushes, but for the most part, for the bulk of this painting, I gotta look to see where my roof line is over here. Oh, let's just go right there. I'm gonna be using my King Art brushes, and we can talk about those as we go along if anybody would like to talk about those. And the paints that I'm going to be using are, once again, as is typical when I paint here in the studio, not always, but typical. They're my M-gram watercolor paints, professional grade watercolor paints. I love these M-gram paints, and I'm always happy to talk about them. All right, cool. There we go. Just did a quick outline, a very quick outline. I've got the top third of this done, and now I'm going to paint the bottom third of this. There is, it's California, right? I'm sorry, let me get a little bit of color off of here. This is California, and we haven't had a whole lot of water for quite a lot of time. And so there isn't a whole lot of grass up here per se. So anything that's not a planter bed and anything that's not a pathway or a walkway is pretty much just compacted dirt. And Harmony is no different from that. So all around the tree here, around some of the planters, many different areas are just kind of compacted soil. Some of it might be like engineer's fill or something like that, but I'm just going to generally give this a yellow ochre color, and we'll come back and maybe add a little bit more to this as we go forward. I'm going to look up now as I'm doing this and see who's here. I know Sudike's here and Liza's here. They were both dancing to the intro music earlier, which I think is fantastic. Natalie's here. Who else? Is anybody else here? That's it. Okay, cool. Anybody else who's here? You want to drop something in the chat? Let me know you're here. Would love to hear from you. If you don't want to say anything in the chat, that's fine too. I think those of us who are regulars or myself, I'll throw myself in there. We'll probably talk enough for anybody. So don't feel badly if you don't say anything. That's cool. Just your viewership here is enough. I appreciate that. Oops. I hope I'm getting this on camera. Maybe I need to put a line down here for myself to make sure I keep this up a little higher. My camera up here is, well, it's on an arm, and I can basically move it anywhere I want to. So on nights where I'm not doing something, I just raise it all the way up, which is great, except for the fact that I have to move it back when I start to do something, and I don't always get it in the same spot. Shoot, we'll just go right across this guy. Let's just do that. I don't always get it back in the same spot, and so sometimes my paintings are a little higher on my desk, sometimes they're a little bit lower on my desk. I'm kind of cool with it however it goes, but I just have to make a note to myself to kind of watch that. Cool. So one of the things I do like about this watercolor paper that I have a bit of an issue with wood pulp paper is that this paper, if I put some color on it, I can put some other color on it right next to something that's slightly damp, and they won't just run together forever and ever and ever. I'll get a nice, well, a nice even blend between the two. You can see it happening here where this, what is this? This is, what is this material? Oh, brick. This brick walkway. Some days, I'm telling you. Where this brick walkway, and the dirt areas meet. Obviously, they're still wet right now, but they're not just running right into each other. So I think that's wonderful. That's kind of a feature of all cotton papers, but it's very nice to be able to use a paper that does that. Okay, so now I'm to a place where maybe I need to slow down because the top is wet here, still quite wet. I can see the water glistening off of it up here. Oh, maybe I can't get it to shine there, but down here, obviously you can see it shine off of that. Whew. So I can sit back and talk a little bit about this composition and about what we're seeing here. Let me grab something to point with. So all back here, back behind this building, which is a chapel, is seating area and farmland, and there's some seating area off to this side over here, and they do actually hold weddings up here. It's a whole venue, and kind of this area over here where this walkway comes to, there's a kitchen area over here where they could prepare food if they wanted to. This whole building back here is the pottery studio, and there's a door on the other side of this tree and these planters that you can walk in, and there's a giant shop over there. And this is all kind of shaded and hidden away, And this is like its own little private walkway. Well, the next closest street, like I said, would be that way. There's a glass blower on there, and I don't know, a creamery. This is an old post office that you can look at. It's really neat. This cool little place. What was I going to say now? Okay, so when I drew this out, I knew, or I know, that a lot of this area is going to be covered in green for leaves from this tree. I'm going to put some green back behind these buildings. I don't want this just to come down to sky all the way down to the ground here. So I'm going to put some green, some general trees back there. And then up in this area are going to be leaves kind of behind this big tree. And then I like this because this whole thing leads your eye right back here. Your eye's going to come, come on, get in focus. Your eye's going to come up here, especially if we're going to put in some hard curves like these, some lines. Your eye's going to come up here. You're going to see this area. This is meant to look like a giant barrel right here with some doors cut into it. You're going to look right past this guy, and you're going to see a pop of green right in the middle by this plant. That's kind of right here. So I like that there's already a little bit of movement that's making your eye come up this way. Tracy's here. Hello, Tracy. Good to see you. And let's see. Shadika was asking how I simplified this. Well, here's how I simplified it, right? I didn't do a whole lot. But in the reference photo, there's a light that hangs out here, right? There are words here. I don't know that I'm going to get anything from the words. There's all this filigree in here that I'm not necessarily going to paint. I might paint some lines on here and make this look like boards. And then there's there's even more windows on here that I didn't bother to paint. But you'll see this area will all become one building. This area will become one building. And I'm just going to have this little darker-ish area right here that will divide the two. Hopefully that makes larger areas to paint, not too much to go on. The one thing I'm worried about in this painting is this person. I don't often paint people, so I'm a little concerned. And I think I drew my barrel a little wonky, but that's okay, right? That's okay. We'll figure it out. All right, I think I've rambled on long enough. I'm going to mix up just a medium color here, not too different than the dirt color, right? Than this just ochre. I'm going to put this in as the building color back here, and if I go over the lines a little bit here, I'm kind of okay with it because a lot of this is going to be covered in greenery, right? Those trees are going to be there. And the basics of this building are much the same. So as long as I don't paint into an area that's going to be a little lighter, I feel as though I'm going to be okay with painting this building pretty quickly. Right, and I can do it without worrying too much. I know I don't want to paint into my tree here. And if I want to add any different color, if I want to vary this at all, I could even put a little green in here or something. I can do that now because the basis of this building doesn't have a whole lot of color, so I might need to or want to put in a little bit of that. But what's going to set this building off is when we start to put in our shadows, right? If you look at that building. Let me do this while I'm just doing this a little bit. Let me put that picture back up there, and you can look at the building, and you can specifically look at the shadows on the ground right in front of the building. That's the chapel, right, which is the building right behind the tree there, right? And look at the giant shadow from the building in front, kind of where the man or the person, I guess it's a man, is standing, right? That's kind of an interesting shadow there. So there's some interest just from the shadowing that's going to go on this building, and hopefully we can replicate that on this without overwhelming the painting, right? That's the goal, is to do it without overwhelming. And now let me come back. I feel as though, and you can tell me it's not true, or you can tell me if you appreciate it or whatnot. I think it's a little more. Oh, Sherry's here. Hello. It's a little more important to show you the reference photo now that I've kind of resized this. I tried to resize this area, so it's a little bigger, but it means making these other areas, 1, 2, well, and then this is me. You don't need to see me, but make these areas a little smaller. So I feel as though I should, from time to time, give you a little bit more insight into the reference photo. All right, so now I'm going to grab a little bit of cobalt, and I'm going to mix this with the green that I already just have on my palette here. I'm going to mix this with our blue that's already been mixed, right? And this is going to be the color of my trees in the background back here. This is pretty dry, and I'm just going to say I've got some trees that are kind of come in back here somewhere. Let's make these go kind of like that. This is a nice big tree back here, and as we get closer to the building, we can fill it in a little bit more. We can make it a little bit darker as it comes down too. I'm going to make it a little darker by adding in just a little bit of Ultra. Everybody seems really quiet tonight. What's going on? Did I just jump in too quickly and everybody's trying to catch up? or is there something else going on? I'm going to put a bit of a tree here too. Let's do that. There we go. And I love to let my what do you call this thing? This paintbrush just kind of dance. I do have to apologize a little bit. This has been a long couple of days for me this week. You all know I took a new job. I accepted just interested. You're so nice. We're enjoying the process, Tracy, Sherry. You guys are so nice. I took this new position at work, and while I do very much enjoy it, it's draining some days. And we've had a lot of things going on at work, and I texted my wife about 3:30 today, and I was like, oh, I got to about 3 o'clock, and then I just I hit a wall today. I'm exhausted. So I think my brain is not it's not functioning quite as well as maybe it could. So if I stutter or say something a couple of times, oh, Liza, my new position, I actually, well, first of all, thank you. It's kind of a new position. I 3 years ago, I got centralized onto a whole new team. The people that I worked with, we all got centralized. We got taken over by a different area within the company, and that's all well and good. I didn't like it at the time, but I'm okay with it now. It all worked out. And then my boss, that's why they pay me the big bucks. And my boss, after I had worked there for 2 years, almost 3 years, 2 years, 2.5 years, I don't know, something like that, decided he wanted to step back. And then it was his suggestion that they make me, they give me his position on an interim basis, which they did. And I did that for about a year, and then they posted the position of which I interviewed for it, and for whatever reason, they decided to give me the job. And so that's how I got my new position, and I very much like it. I do many of the same things I did before, a little different emphasis, there's more management involved, but it's all well and good. I love the job. I love the people I work with. But it's tiring. It's tiring from time to time, and this week was one of them. But we're not here to talk about that. Let's see. Liza, you oil painted all day, so you're wiped out. # jealous. First time I've used my oils in a very long time. And you painted a sailboat and water and trees. I love it. Now... Awesome. It's awesome, Michael. Thank you. So, Liza, a little self-introspection. How did it turn out? Because I think my boats are terrible. I don't think I do a very good job with boats. So I want to know how you did with your boats. You appreciate me being here. Well, listen, I've said it before here. I'm going to say it again. I very much enjoy coming on here on Wednesday nights. And even though there's a dozen of us, let's say, I don't know what the exact number is, that are here every week, if that number never grew to 20 or 50 or 100, I would still be happy to come here and paint every Wednesday. I enjoy it so much. Cool, Liza. It turned out very well. I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Okay, so now so this tree right here, this is a eucalyptus tree, and I know this is a eucalyptus tree, and we have a lot of eucalyptus trees around here. And I'm not from around here, so I sometimes have problems with these eucalyptus trees. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to have a problem today. Probably. All right, so I'm going to mix up a little bit of a neutral gray, right? This is the problem I have, is the bark on the trees is this weird, dull, brownish gray color. So I've just put a little bit over here on my palette. I put a little bit of Paynes Gray. There was some red already here on the palette. I think there must have been a little bit of blue in my Paynes Gray, it looked like. And I put some burnt umber in there. It's just made a nice warm gray. And that's all I want to do, is just get a nice warm gray. And I'm just going to drop this on. And I'm going to get quite a bit of this on here first. Just going to drop that on, but I want to warm some spots up a little bit more. So I'm going to drop in a little bit more of this burnt umber, and I want to cool some spots down. So I might I'll probably drop in maybe just a touch of this Cobalt Blue in a spot or two here and there. Let me grab just a touch of that Cobalt Blue. I'm going to turn this a little bit, and I apologize again for some of the turning. But I think by varying these colors this little bit, that we'll be able to get enough interest on here that this will be kind of a natural looking bark here. So a little bit of gray there. I don't think I mixed quite enough of this color, so let's just go back in. When I moved out here, these eucalyptus trees were a big surprise to me. I had never seen such weird trees. I say weird because, is that dry? Is that dry? Okay. Because they shed bark all year long, and then they drop leaves, and so you get a double whammy kind of things that are kind of getting dropped off of these trees. And they're interesting trees for sure. I know a little bit of the history of the trees in this area. None of these are native, of course, but many, many, many years ago, one of the original founders of this area visited Australia and was completely besodden with these trees. And so he brought back seeds and seedlings and whatnot, and started planting groves of them. And so literally here we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of eucalyptus trees here that were never here before. And they've become part of the area now. But like I said, they are an interesting little thing. All right, I'll give some interest to that bark. Can you see? You can see that there's definitely some. You know what? I'm looking at this. No, I'm gonna hold off. Okay, I looked at that and I went, oh, there's some shadowing here and there's some shadowing here. I was gonna do a little bit of that, but I'm gonna hold off. Whew. All right. What I am gonna do is I'm going to try to get kind of a goldish mixture. I'm going to take some of this. Well, for me, this is Azo Orange, and I'm going to mix a little bit of this burnt umber in here. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Right in the inside of this barrel, I wish I had a pointer I could do here. But the barrel that's got the doors right in that first building right there, it's kind of like the end of a barrel. It's got this beautiful golden colored wood, finished wood, and so I'm going to paint that on here. Like this, Natalie, you say that's like the darn palm trees in Phoenix. They're not native, and they look kind of silly there, but now they're there, and you're never going to get rid of them. That's kind of how it is, I guess. So this is a beautiful, beautiful color. I mean, in reality, maybe not the color I'm using. Sometimes my mixtures are a little odd, but that's okay. It's got this beautiful finish on this area. And I'm trying to use some of this paint because I think I've got it on a little thicker than I want. I can just kind of pull this all along. Yeah, palms, Natalie, don't palms take a lot of water? I thought palm trees took quite a bit of water to grow. I always wondered about that. About why there were palm trees in deserts, other than maybe Palm Springs. And I will tell you, I'm trying to, I think Maryland has kudzu. Oh, yay, yay, yay. Kudzu is so invasive. I know that. I think we're going to need to figure a way to do something else out with kudzu, like, like eat it somehow. Something. I don't know. Kudzu is really aggressive and really invasive. I know that. All right. I'm grabbing a little bit of... well, do I want to do this yet? No, I don't think I want to do this quite yet. Oh, what do you want to do, Michael? I guess I should do this. Also, when I was thinking about simplifying, there is a bench that sits right here. And... benches, to me, if you're looking at a bench straight on, they're okay. If you look at a bench end on, they're okay. This bench is side on, kind of. Side on and from the top-ish. I thought it would be really hard to do, so I just took it out. There's also a bench back here that I took out. I don't think they added anything. They're not going to help to anchor this side of the painting. This barrel, that tree are going to really help to anchor this. If I want to, I can put some little scrub grasses here too. That'll help hold this side of the painting down. I just didn't think they needed to be there. I don't know if palms take a lot of water. I know they're beastly to keep trimmed. Yeah, that's true. Some guy imported hickory trees from Europe in the late 1800s. They had a fungus that infected native hickory trees on the East Coast. Yay. Estimates that about 3 billion native trees died. Holy cow, 3 billion. I'm not good with math, but 3 billion is a lot. Oh, I know what I can do. Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of my Maroon Perylene. I have a color card right over here. I have my swatch card right over there, and I'm not even paying attention to it. I'm trying to think of these all on my own. And I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber and whatever this yellowish color, this golden color that we had from here. And I'm going to get this on my brush. I'm going to take most of it out because I want to try to do some color on the roof here. All right, if I get a little bit more yellow in here, that's too much color. That's too much color. Come on, get some of this off. I wanted a little bit of gray in there. Maybe I'll just have to introduce some gray. So it's got like a tin roof. I'm gonna sound like I'm in the B-52s for a second, but it's got a tin roof and it's kind of rusted. So I've got to make it look a little bit like that. And on top of that, I'm not sure that any bit of this roof is actually straight. I know the one I'm painting is not. I'm not sure the one that's actually there is any kind of straight. Let's warm some of that up. Over there. I think we've got some of that. Sometimes we had a hickory tree and would shuck and dry them all winter long. We would crack and eat them while having hot chocolate. That does sound like a good time. I want some I want some of that. That sounds good. Maybe that's why ate a winter growing up. We didn't have hickory or hot chocolate very often. I remember plenty of winters. I don't remember a whole lot of hot chocolate. Let's see. I think that's going to kind of be my roof right there, for better or for worse. I don't think that's a bad roof. And this roof over here is a shingle roof, and it's a lot darker. Oh, you know what? This has got roof back here too. Let's give it some of this red color. I'm going to pull this right on through like that. There, I'm going to do that. And while I've got some color here, I've got I thought I had more gray than that. I'm going to just mix some gray in all of this. And I'm going to put a little color on this wine barrel. Now, I'm calling this a wine barrel. I don't think do they still make... Natalie says, nice color blend on the roof. Thank you. Thank you. Do they still make wine in barrels? I kind of was under the impression the only thing we made in barrels anymore was whiskey. I think we make wine in vats now. I'm not sure. Oh, no. Oh, okay. It appears as though we're getting close to football season. Where we started some football talk. All right, okay. My barrel is a little wonky, and I'm okay with that. Whatever, it's fine. It's barrel-ish shaped. You know what? I actually saw this when I actually noticed that when I drew it, and I went, I don't think that's quite right. And then I kind of went, we'll figure it out. All right. So we're getting there with our buildings, right? This one, you didn't notice it when I did it because I was sneaky about it. This one, a little darker, a little more saturation of color than this one. Hopefully that alone pulls this building forward a little bit. Kind of a nice little roof color up here. I think we're going to put some dark in here. There's some venting and a couple of windows up here. So we're going to put some dark up there. And then that's a little chimney that we'll put some color on. But I like this. I like the general way this is going right now. Lighter back here. That pushes it back. This is a little more intense, pulls it up a little bit. We're going to make this kind of a gray brown in here. Hopefully all it'll do is divide these two areas up. And then we've got lots of leaves and stuff to go up here. So we got plenty to go. Let's see. Natalie said, you're pretty sure the best wines are still in barrels. Okay. All right. I'm struggling with varying colors like you did on the roof. Any suggestions on how you picked my colors? Yes. So I hope you can see that roof a little bit better. It's really mottled. And I wanted to have some gray there where it's not rusted. And then I have my own rust color that I like. And the rust color that I like to make is Maroon Perylene along with burnt umber. And so I wanted to get some of that on there. Actually, I wish this would have been separated a little bit more. I like this here, I like this here, and I like this side. And what I was hoping to do, you can see there's some variation of color there. What I was really hoping to do was to let those mingle and have fun on the paper more than on my palette. And I kind of think that's kind of the key to it all, when it's all said and done, is just being able to get out of the way of the paint and letting it do its thing, because the paint really kind of knows what it wants to do. And if you let the paint be the paint, you're probably going to end up with a pretty decent thing. Whether it's exactly like it's, it's represented or not, it's probably going to turn out pretty nice. Okay, just a couple of lines of dark on here. We don't need a whole lot more than that. And this is now dry on both sides. My roof is dry enough. Let's put a little bit of gray, a warm gray, another warm gray. I'm going to use some of this sepia in here. All right. Now this is the time. This is if I have one drawback with M-Gram paints, this is it. It has nothing to do with the paints. It has everything to do with me. Well, it has a little bit to do with the paints, but it has mostly stuff to do with me. Once those paints get wet, right? Once they get wet, they will give you so much color when you tap back into them that it is sometimes hard not to get too much color on your brush. and I say that and I'm kind of laughing, but it's kind of true. That's if you've watched me paint, and I know I do it, and I try not to bring it up because I don't want everybody to know that I sometimes struggle with a lot of stuff. But if you see me paint and you watch the beginning of a painting, the colors are a lot lighter, of course, and they go on pretty smoothly and pretty easily. But then when I go on in the painting and I go, oh, I'm going to paint just a little bit of a light spot here, it's never a light spot. It's never a light spot. I'm going to paint just a little bit of something here and a little bit of a different color up here. In the end, nobody's going to know any of this was put on after or first or second or however. They're just going to see that that's a little transition in there between those two buildings. Now everybody's going to be watching for me to grab too much pigment at any one point in time. That's all right. That's totally fine. CDK, did I answer your question in there? I hope I answered your question in there somewhere. Sometimes I get a little carried away, but I hope I answered your question. How I picked those colors for the roof, if I can bring it back to your question, is that I know what color I want rust to be. And so I picked those colors that to me look a little rustier. And then I forced those on there. I hope that makes a little sense. All right, now give me a little bit of this blue up here. This is Ultramarine Blue. And we've got this doorway here. Am I painting the right doorway? Am I doing this properly? I'm doing this right. Okay, good. I want to make sure I'm painting in the right spot here. As this comes down, okay, cool. Yes, it does. I'm glad I answered your question. I do try to answer questions. I think it's important that we all try to help each other out, right? I say all the time, watercolors isn't hard, but what I don't say is that it's often frustrating. And if we can do anything to help alleviate some of the frustration, then cool, let's do that. And part of that is, you know, giving people some tips and tricks and secrets and insight into how things are done. And so keep asking questions like that, and I will keep trying to answer them in a way that makes some semblance of sense. So I'm trying to get a nice variegated wash here because this door is open. Right? I don't know what's in there. Well, I mean, I do know what's in there, but I don't know what's in there. But I do know that it's going to be darker up at the top. There's no lights on in there. It's going to be darker up at the top and a little lighter down at the bottom where there's some light that comes in. And I'm hoping that I just didn't get this quite too dark. And if I did, that's okay. That's okay. Let's do this. We'll just pull this back a little bit, which is a slightly damp brush. We'll just pull this up a little bit. There we go. Now we got a nice variegation going up there. And it looks darker up here and a little lighter down there. Let's see. Liza says, this week in watercolors, I worked on putting granulated colors together, which surprisingly are good for making rocks. Oh, cool. And I hope you put it on some really good rough watercolor paper. Let those granulations really get down into some of those areas. Rocks are fun to paint because they can look like a lot of different things. They don't have to look like anything in particular, unless you have a specific rock that it's like famous and people are going to know it when they see it. Whoops, I'm low again here. But rocks are really fun to paint. I have a really big rock in my town. Yes, Michael. A really big rock in my town. It's the rock. And if anybody wants to look it up, I wonder how tall it is. 600 feet? Something like that. Some look like they could be jewels. Oh, cool. That's cool. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. I have this blue, and I was using neutral with it. Some colors here. I'm going to mix a little bit of sepia in with some of that. Oh, something like that. Let's add some dark up here. And we can vary this as we go along. That'll make it fun, I think. Well, this is a dark area up underneath here. The sepia and the blue should gray themselves out a little bit. Maybe not completely, maybe not all the way, but it should be enough. And when they dry, it'll probably be just enough to make some interesting colors in here. But that's all in shadow. That's all in dark shadow in there. That's probably too dark. Now that I've mentioned that I do this too dark, everybody's going to be seeing that it's too dark. Luckily, it's easily fixed just about like that. And we've got our roof here. Let's get this guy going over here. So I'm going to ask Liza. Some look like they could be jewels. So what kind of rocks were these? Are they semi-precious, precious rocks? Or did you just have fun with it and use I'm going to say this strangely, non-rocky colors? I think it's a funny way to say it. Right? Did you just use fun colors to paint them with, just to see what the textures would come out like? Which actually is a kind of a cool way to do it. Too much neutral tint. Come on, neutral, get off my brush. I mean, not too much neutral tint. I just wasn't wanting to use that much neutral tint. Cool, here's our roof over here. Nice and dark underneath. I got a few lighter areas there. I think that looks pretty nice. If I can get a straight line here, this will be really nice. Oh, there we go. And coming up that way. And I've got to get a little bit of that down here too. On the back side of this. I think I need to bring that in just a little bit. Oh, I like it, I like it, I like it. And I want to get most of this done, a lot of this done before I really, come on, focus. There we are. Before I start to put in the leaves on the front, or you know, off of the back here. You know what, I'm going to do this. Let's see. Just enough for a little indication here that there's a ridge line right there. I think it's going to be plenty. No, just regular, like putting French ultramarine with burnt umber. Okay, cool. So French ultramarine and burnt umber, you mixed, those two actually go together really well. And you get a nice cold side and a warm side to them. I'm sorry, and you get some really cool effects by doing that. Thomas Schaller, if anybody knows who Thomas Schaller is, does a lot of that kind of stuff. Not necessarily with rocks, but with those two colors. And he will he'll make these huge cityscapes, or you know, these wonderful giant paintings with almost no more than the two colors of ultra and burnt umber. They're unbelievable. If anybody knows who Thomas Schaller is. How many people we have here? We're 12 people. This is a good group tonight. I'm going to make the call to anybody again. Anybody who's new to the stream and you want to say hello, that'd be awesome. I'd love to hear from you. Just drop something in the chat. We're all pretty nice here. We're all pretty friendly. So just say hello. If you don't, well, that's okay too. We'll just keep right on talking, and you can just continue to listen and enjoy the stream. Or I hope you enjoy the stream anyways. But it's always better if you can join in and ask a question or two. I do try to answer questions best I can. I'm pretty open about my painting. Pretty open about my style of painting. How I got there, why I got there. Not necessarily whether it's any good or not. You love the color variation in the second roof. Are we counting from the front or the back? Is this the second roof or the first roof? The front roof, the closer roof, or the further away roof? I don't know which one we're talking about. The second roof. The second one I painted was this one. And so I tried to do it. I tried to have a little reasoning behind why I did it. Was I thought that, you know, there might be a little more sun hitting the top of the darker one. Okay, so I thought there'd be maybe a little bit more sun hitting the top of this, and that would make the top a little bit lighter. And that's why I went with the burnt umber. And then as you come down the roof, you get closer to this tree, right? Maybe the sun's not coming straight down like this, but maybe the sun's coming at an angle, and the further down you go, maybe there's a little bit more shadow on it somewhere. And I can draw a line on this, zoop, 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 and it'll make it bend and put it right underneath. So I'll have my eaves already in there. But cool, thank you. Let's see, I got another door here I'm gonna paint. So I've got a plant here that I'm gonna paint in, and I want to make sure I get this door in, but I don't want to make the door so dark that I can't paint the plant around it, if that makes any sense. I want right in the middle of this painting, I want that strong pop of green right in the center. So I'm going to really play that up. And then I got a couple of doors here. Well, that's still a little bit wet. I can paint these doors over here. So these doors are a little richer brown too. So that's going to be a little bit more of the sepia. I am going to mix in some of the burnt umber, but quite a bit of the sepia on these doors to make this a nice rich dark brown. Anyone doing a July watercolor challenge or anything special for watercolor month? Uh-oh. Now, I'm a little embarrassed. I didn't really realize it was watercolor month. Actually, maybe I did. Okay, I kind of did know it because I watched one or two of Tracy's videos, and I think, Tracy, you put a hashtag for watercolor month on yours. I participated, but not using the prompts. Okay, cool. So let's see, Aliz, I hate to cut out, but we'll catch the rest in replay. Okay, you sure, really terrific. Thank you for stopping by, Liza. Always a pleasure. Always. So Tracy did do some. Was kind of right. I'd like to do the Discord challenge, but the month is turning quite busy. Oh, and you leave for vacation. Oh, and I'm still jealous you're going to go to the core factory. That's not fair. You want to do the Discord challenge for the month of July. I'm going to take the time to remind everybody. The challenge for this month is steps or stairs. And you know, they don't have to be like your back staircase in your house. They can be some fun kind of something, but I picked that because to me, steps and stairs tell a story, right? You don't use stairs unless you're going somewhere, or you don't use steps unless you're coming from somewhere. Where are you going to? Where are you coming from? What's the story? Can you incorporate some of that story And you don't have to tell it straight out, of course. But can you tell some of that story in your painting? Right? I am looking for a particular picture that I took, and I cannot find it, about about 5 or 6 years ago now. A town just south of me. There's a set of like 3 or 4 different steps or stairs, a little series of steps that go down to the beach from this parking lot, and there's weeds and beach grasses on each side, and it's kind of a neat little picture, and I remember it, but I can't find it. Let's see, Donna. Oh, Donna's here. Donna, hello, welcome. Good to see you again. Let's see. Try doing your own thing, Natalie. Natalie, I'm tempted by the watercolor month every year. Oh, but this is too much. Okay. Try to do your own thing, Natalie. You don't even have to do it every day. That's true. Susie says, all I do is watercolors. So it's business as usual. Thinking about stairs in a picture I took in Riverside Park in New York City. Cool. All right. See, now we're getting somewhere. I like it. Stairs are neat. I want to drop down a brush size. I'm going to kind of hedge my bets here. That my hand isn't maybe as steady as I want it to be. I'll drop down a little brush size. And I'm going to start putting in some detail here. I always think it's weird. I get a smaller brush and I feel like I have to make more brush strokes. I don't know why I feel that way, because I don't really need to, as I'm demonstrating right now. But I feel the need to make a lot more brush strokes. Many brush strokes. Uh-oh. Oop, I messed that up. That's okay. We just won't tell anybody. So I have Susie I'm. Oh, I have to tell you all. This is so... I guess it's a little sad, but it's really funny. Right? You all know I'm a big fan of my chickens. I'm painting roses just now. Woo! You all know I'm a big fan of chickens. I'm a proud chicken dad. And my little girls... Oh, man, I can't get it straight. My little girls are all starting to grow up. And they're starting to lay eggs. The little ones are starting to lay eggs. And Dahlia, well, that's close. That looks a little wonky on the side over here. Let's see if we can unwonk that a little bit. Dahlia, I believe, was the first to start laying, and she has laid a fully round egg. This is nothing outside of the normal, right? This is a totally normal thing. But she laid a completely round egg, which was weird to see. And she's laid 2 eggs that the shell is really soft. So when you're a little when you're a little girl and you're having a hard time, that's a totally normal thing, but it looks so funny. Well, one of those eggs, the soft egg, I kind of found in front of the chicken coop, which is the funny part of the thing. And I'm like, that's weird. She shouldn't be laying there. I think one of the older girls kind of was not allowing her to sit in her laying box, but so be it. She's moved in there now, and she's laying in the right spot. But she's this big girl. She's a big girl. She's what, 25 weeks old. So the other chickens, the older chickens, are now 3.5, almost 4 years old. And Dahlia's already the largest chicken in the flock. But she lays these little tiny eggs. I'm like, I don't understand. Where are you getting your little eggs? These little cute, adorable eggs with little spots on them. And I came home from work today. I was not happy about this, but I found the two little girls in the front yard where they shouldn't have been. And so I roused them into the back, and I'm like, come on, go in the backyard where you're supposed to be. You don't need to be up here. And I looked down and I found another egg in the front yard. I'm like, oh no. But it was all soft. I think it was Blue's first egg. I think if I had to take a guess, I would say that was probably Blue's first egg. Why am I doing this with a flat brush? I don't know why I'm doing this with a flat brush. I can do this better with a round brush. Why did I grab that? I wanted to get a little bit of a line underneath there. I'm gonna put a hard shadow line underneath there, and so I want a little bit of something underneath. You all know my fascination with chickens, don't you? I've talked about my chickens before. I have to have talked about my chickens. Love my chickens. They're just going to bed now. Okay, a couple other things before we can get on to doing some more. I'm going to paint these doors. I'm going to paint these a nice blue-gray. They're kind of blue-gray there. Right, like this. Let's see. What did you say? A New Jersey friend in the suburbs lost 3 chickens to a predator. Oh, I would be very upset. My chickens are pets, as much or more than they are for anything else, and I become more than attached to my chickens, and probably more attached than my family would like to admit that I am. But they're fun. We got the 3 little ones. Well, I'm down to 2 now, for a reason I'm not happy about. But the little ones, the little babies, we got, and they were 7 weeks old. I didn't want chicks. Chicks are a lot of work, but 7 weeks old I got them, and I still had to take them in and out every night. They couldn't stay out in the coop all night. And they imprinted on me. And so now I'm their mom. I guess I could be their dad, whatever. So anytime I step outside, anytime I come home, whatever, I come home, they can hear me. They come running over to see me. Where's he at? Where's he at? Has he got some food for us? what's going to happen? What's going on? And I just walk right over to them at this point. I just pick them up like it's nothing. Do. Oh, they're so good. Just pick them up. Little Blue, she just kind of sits there. I pick her up and she just kind of sits in my arms. She was a little harder to teach that than Dahlia, but they got there. Let's see, I need to do a little bit of gray here. These are kind of barn doors, so got a little bit of something like that. Maybe a little bit more of less is more here. I don't necessarily need to put all these lines in here to prove that. Maybe I need to put a little bit more than that. I don't know. Those look like some doors there. Whew. Okay, let's get on to some green. Let's do some green here. I want to do some green. I'm going to get my Cobalt Green going over here. Come on, a little Cobalt. It's gotten eerily quiet in the chat. Eerily quiet. I'm going to have to think of something else to say now. So a little Cobalt Green, a little Hansa Yellow. Right? It gives me this nice warm. If it looks too bright, I can put a little Gamboge. I don't know why I said it so weird. A little Gamboge in that, and that'll cool it right down. And then if I really need to cool it down, I can put a little olive green in there, and that's going to really ramp it down. I can tell you this is way too much on my brush. So we're gonna see what we can do to loosen some of this up and thin some of it out. But here's some nice color in here. All in these beds. This can be brighter up here. And then as we come down, we can get a little bit darker and a little bit darker. Now, you can, I always try to do it, when I try to do it, I try to do it very sparingly. I almost would rather use this olive green. But you can put a little bit of ultramarine or some other kind of blue in here, neutral tint, if you wanted to darken this down a little bit, even further. But I try to be very careful about that because that blue can just kind of suck all the life out of it. See, we've got some plants back here. These are like bigger, kind of leafier things. Nice and dark down there. Oh, come on. Somebody must want to say something. Okay, I'm going to talk all on my own then, and you're going to have to listen to all my chicken stories. Let's see. So, what else is going on that we can talk about? I'm going to figure something out. Let's give this some lines out there. Just pull that out. I'm going to try to, for anybody who does Twitch, I'm going to try, I try every Saturday and Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm going to try to do some more broadcasts on Saturday and Sunday on Twitch. It's kind of an excuse, right? And I don't know that I need to make an excuse, but it's sometimes hard because I feel like I have a lot of other stuff going on, and sometimes on the weekend that's my only time just to kind of break away and not be too involved in too much other stuff. But I do enjoy it. I really do. All right, I'm going to get the top of this on. You're going to see, I swear it's a barrel. There, it's a barrel. There's a top to that barrel. And we can put on some slats on that barrel. One. Got to be one down here, right? I probably made these way too dark. I probably made those way too dark. I think they're not very big. I think I'll try to leave them like that. Oh, and I forgot this one in the middle. I want this one in the middle here. This is going to have a lot of yellow in it. I want this to be super bright. I want this to really stand out. Right? Come on. That's so much paint. That's so much paint. Maybe it can't stand out quite that much. Maybe this vine is coming across there a little bit. Okay. Gonna have this giant pop of color right in the center. I like it, I like it, I like it. Let's let it climb out this way just a little bit. Ooh, I like how it's climbing out there. I know. I get excited by little things. I do. I really do. But sometimes the little things are really fun to see happening. Or, maybe I grew up watching too much Bob Ross, one of the two. But when you see something happening and it makes you go, that's neat. That's something that maybe we want to celebrate a little bit. I'm going to put a little lighten some of this up. I just put yellow in there. We don't actually have a whole lot of yellow plants, I gotta say. We have a lot of blue, and a lot of purple. Not all that many yellow plants out here. All right, so we've got a couple of little trees that are growing up in here. All right, they've got a few sticks and twigs growing out of those. I think that's great. And I'm gonna get some of this brighter color. put on here. These are definitely going to be in the sun. How am I going to do this? I wanted to do a little dry brush, but let's see if I can do some of this. I just never feel like I can get my brush quite into the right spot. Actually, I think that's looking pretty good, actually. That's kind of a convincing tree-ish thing there. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Gonna put a little dark in a couple of these areas down here. Oh, who wouldn't be happy with that? Look. Oh. So I love where this is going. I think this is starting to look good. I'm gonna help to define this area a little bit more. Right, some of this area over here. Just a little bit of color. I'm going to get a little bit more up, right up in here. All right. To me, that's looking better. That's looking better. What do we need to do? I've got a window back here that needs something. Oh, how am I going to do this? There's a window. There's a window. There's a window. And now I want to give me this little brush. Give me my red, my brick color. Some of this brick-ish color. So I want to get some lines on here. Well, let's make this fatter. Maybe accentuate some of these sides here. But I don't necessarily want these to look like brick, which is what they are. But what I want them to do, more than anything, is to help lead your eye up into that. I want them to provide a little bit of movement for whoever looks at this. I'm okay if it's not perfect. I'm okay if I don't have all the little hatch lines in there. Yeah, we can put a few in here and there, right? But more than anything, I want this to convey a bit of movement, pushing your eye up this way, because we got this guy to go yet. We got some leaves to go up here too. Oh, but I'm so excited about this. I think it's looking great so far. Sherry, thank you. Oh, I can't tell you how happy I am that this is actually turning out mostly the way I was hoping it would turn out. That's always a good thing, right? when your painting can turn out mostly the way you hope. All right, let's see. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get my liner brush. So this is one of those things that's gonna seem weird. Probably is a little weird, but it's gonna work out. Because from here, we've got right, all these branches that come down. Let's see, from this tree. I don't know exactly how they come down. Something like this. And a lot of these are going to get overwritten, but I want to have some of this. I don't think I'm going to go. I don't think I'm going to bring these quite down as far as they are over there. I've got a couple of little branches there, and I think, I think I can then use that as the basis for putting on some leaves. And come on. Oh, why do I do this? I mix my greens and then I put my yellows in it. And then I have all of these yellow in my greens. I'm like, I don't want yellow. I don't want greens in my yellow. What I'm desperately trying not to do is to put these down in lines and make it look like there's a line of anything here. Some dots here and there. Shoot, we can put a couple of leaves on top of there. Most of this is going to be behind. This should just convey quite a bit of motion in here. I think it pretty much does that. I don't know if anybody does leaves a whole lot differently than that, unless you're doing it this way. I think it's kind of a nice balance of the both there. Still got some of this lighter color. I'm gonna put some on straight yellow. Even we pull this way down. Some leaves down there, and just maybe a couple as we move out this way. Hopefully this little area up here still leaves enough that we have a little motion going out that way. A little bit. Okay. Whew. Anybody else tired? I'm a bit worn out. Feel worn out. All right, there I just put my eaves on that one. The leaves are good. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Put just a little bit of dimension on these, something you can see. Right. You see the end of this door. See part of that door. Oh, okay. So we're down. Oh, you know what I want to do? I want to plant this tree in the ground a little bit further. Right. I don't think I did the base of this tree quite enough justice. I'm going to try to, make his roots a little more obvious here. And maybe I actually think that's probably just about enough. You like how the bluish trees in the background make these ones look like they're coming forward? I'm with you, Sudike. I'm with you. That cobalt blue that was in there, just pushed those way back, didn't it? That's way back. There's a lot of atmosphere you've got to look through to see those, but you still see they're green. They're not like way back there, but they're just back there far enough. Donna says it's looking great. Thank you. Oh, okay, but seriously, we're getting close. We're getting close. Got to figure out how to paint this guy. He's got a gray sweatshirt on. I don't think we want a gray sweatshirt. There you can see him there. Right, I'm gonna give him long pants. So I'm not worried about that. But I don't want to give him a gray sweatshirt. Maybe, I don't know. I think I'm going to do like a pop of red. I've got some blue. I've got some green in here. We don't really have a whole lot of red in here. So maybe he'll have some red on his shirt there. And not a whole lot of skin showing on this guy. So we don't have to be super, super careful about painting around his face or anything like that. So, let's see, he's got blue jeans on. What color are blue jeans? Give me neutral in there. That's probably a good blue jean color. So you're going to see why I don't normally paint people. Give me, let's see. He's got some shadow coming across there for himself. All right. Oh, shoot, we could almost leave his, we could almost leave his shirt white. Almost. The red sweatshirt would be good. I'm going to do red. I'm going to do red. I'm going to be brave and do a red sweatshirt. Right after I'm brave. And put on some neutral tint here for a shadow. Quickly, quickly, quickly. There's a big shadow. There's his shadow. I wanted to get that in before he was dry, so those colors could meld together that little bit. Right, there we go. I can't do his shirt quite yet because I know his hair's too wet. Let me just take a little bit out of that. This is going to be like you've all taken a trip to California right here with me. And you have him left wherever you're at. There you go. Nice pop of color on that guy. Let's see. Shadows. Now I've defined the shadows here as kind of coming this way a little bit, right? This is in shadow. So now I need to put a little shadow on some of this building here. And I'll use a little bit of blue-ish. Maybe a little bit more blue than that. I'm going to put some shadow up here, and then basically this whole wall over here is going to be in shadow. You all know how I feel about painting shadows. They're tough. They're tough. They're tough for me. But we're going to get through it, and it's going to look fantastic when we're done. There's that. The red shirt looks good. We're going to do a little bit of detail on that in just a second or two. I'm going to put a shadow line underneath here. I'm just going to pull that across. Cool. Underneath there, a little bit back there. And then we can kind of start to have some fun with shadows. Because then we've got to dapple it all across here for everything else. Right? This wine, if that guy's shadow's going this way, this wine barrel's probably got a shadow that's going something like that. Would be my guess. This tree probably got a shadow that comes out here somewhere. Maybe I got a little too close. That's okay. Well, let's just do it like that. Let's connect those two shadows. Nobody will ever know the difference. Oh, you got to get kind of the right... shadows coming. Let's see, the shadows are coming this way a little bit, so these should have a little bit of shadow on them. I'm always afraid of doing too much. It's just dappled light. I know that's all it is. That's all it's supposed to be. And I'm so afraid to put it on. Maybe there's some that goes up the wall here. It's got to come across here. Let's give a little bit of shadow underneath here, actually. And while we're over here, this can be a little warmer shadow while it's over here. Come on now. A little warmer shadow. Got to connect some of these little dots. They can't all be disconnected. Is it looking anything like my like my reference photo? It kind of is, isn't it? I think it's looking somewhat like it. All right, jeans color. Let's see. Jeans a little darker there. Red. A little darker like that. I think I need more shadow area. Oh! How dare I? How can I get more shadow area? I need some going up the wall here. I know that. We'll just get some going up the wall. That should make it look like there's a big tree. There's a big tree right over here casting a shadow this way. Warmer shadow over here. Don't be afraid of the shadow, Michael. Oh, it's a mess. It's a mess. No, that's okay. That's kind of the way it is. It's kind of the way it is. The guy looks great. I was going to just do something with the guy. It was probably going to make him look not quite so great. I'm going to reacquire his shadow there. Yeah, it kind of looks like there's a big tree in there. I'm actually going to pull this shadow down this way a little bit more. Shoot, we can even use some red in there a little bit. And I'm going to darken this up a little bit. I'm going to get this bigger brush, though. I think this shadow needs to be much darker in order to show that it's a darker area, right? In order to show that this is closer to us, that this is darker, I think this needs to be darker. If that's a good way to explain that, and maybe it's not. All right, that whole area is in shadow right there. I almost feel like pulling that out further. I feel like that's actually a little better. I don't want to stick with mine. I don't like it now. Way darker in there and lighter as we come out. All right, I think that's how I'm going to do it. You can still see that that guy's there. You can still see that that guy's got a shadow right there. He's kind of on the edge of where that shadow is. He's walking in and out of that shadow a little bit. Give me a smaller brush. Just kind of standing there. I wanted to put somebody in there, but I don't know if it's exactly right. This is only as tall as a wine barrel. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, and you know what? I can't leave without doing this. This would make me nuts if I don't do this tree. If I have a shadow coming over this way, this tree has to have a dark side to it. Has to. It can't not have a dark side to it. That doesn't mean it's going over to the dark side. It just means there's some dark areas over there. We need to find them and put them on that poor little tree. I don't even think that's quite dark enough. I'm going to charge in a little bit more color here to continue to darken that up a little bit. Now that it's nice and wet, we can do that. Should we put a little this green? We can put a little bit of a warm shadow in here, but it needs to have a darker area. Ooh, it's looking better. It's looking better. I talk so much about not being afraid of having lights and darks, and so I need to kind of live that and not be afraid of having some lights and darks. So I've kind of got a little bit. Put a little bit on that, just a little bit on that side, maybe in a couple places. So it's a little warmer over there. Let's darken this up. This is all the fun little bits of fiddling with things. Fiddling is always fun until you look at it and go, holy cow, what did I do? We're not going to do that. Okay, cool. I'm actually a lot happier with that tree now. Actually, I could even pull a little bit out of the center of this. I'd be even happier still. Cool. I'm much happier with that tree. It looks like it looks rounder now. Actually, I'm pretty happy with the whole thing. I do need to do, well, I got to do one thing. Hang on. I don't know why I put my white gouache all the way across the studio, but I did. And now I have to grab it because, oh, and I can't do this quite yet. I can do parts of it. Because we're going to paint in some of these bulbs, and I want them to be a little bit whiter. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of this white gouache. Make sure my brush is really clean. That's okay. I think my white has touched my black in just a couple of places. I guess that black was a little bit more damp than I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to pull that back ever so slightly. I don't need to take it all off of there. I just need to get a little bit off of there. I can't quite do this one yet. Right? Not even close. Not even close. Oh, all I gotta do is wait for that to dry a little bit, and I can put my line right over top. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I got this little tiny chimney back here. As long as we're waiting, as long as we have a little extra time, let's put a little tiny chimney on. There it is. I don't know that I needed that really, but got that little tiny chimney. And now, since I put a little tiny chimney on there, I got to put a little tiny shadow on there now. And that shadow's probably going to go up that way just a little bit. There you go. I think that would probably help define what that is a little bit. Okay, we're getting really close. While we're waiting, okay, I need to wait 2 minutes. If I'm feeling this and I think this is right, I got about 2 minutes to wait until that should be dry. So I'm going to go through and do my goods, bads, and indifference right right? Those things I think that are good on here, those things I think that aren't so good on here, and we'll go from there. So the good is, I guess there's a couple of good things here. One is, I think we've created a pretty cute little scene here, right? You can imagine this is a little place. These doors are open here. Yeah, okay, I drew them and they don't quite fit in that opening, but I don't think anybody's going to say anything about that. Maybe you could say this door's closed and this is the only one that's open. I don't know. I'm not going to quabble about that. The guy who drew it didn't do the best job, but that's okay. I like the roof here. I like the roof back here. I like the shadow underneath. I like the shadow underneath here. I love I actually like the two different styles of leaves here, right? Two different styles of trees. This big eucalyptus with these just big leaves that hang down. And this one, I don't know what kind this is, but you can see much more of the branches here. And these leaves that I was trying to do a dry brush technique and kind of got it and kind of didn't got it, kind of didn't get it. Ugh, got it, get it. I don't know if I'm quite as wild about the guy here. Didn't quite turn out the way I wanted, but I don't hate this person. I think they work in the center of this. Maybe I should have extended this shadow a little further. I don't know. But I love the way I can imagine, right? I can imagine this is some sort of building here, which it is, right? And then a tree on the other side of it, and the shadow comes up here and even goes up the side of the building. I totally get it. I totally get that. Even though there's not a lot of texture here, there's some cool stuff happening on this tree trunk here. I really like that. And like Sherry said, I think it was Sherry. Did you say it? The blue in the trees in the background here really helped to push those back and really helped to bring everything else forward. I'm really kind of tickled about this. I was very worried, I have to tell you, about the way this would turn out, and I'm totally happy with how it turned out, because I don't do a whole lot of architectural painting, but I want to. I would love to paint all the buildings in and around my town that have any interest to them at all. And I think this is probably a pretty good start to getting some of that done. And so, man, I have white paint all over my hands. And so I'm really happy with it. Actually, I'm happy with that too, because all of a sudden, I really do have white. I just got white all over me. All of a sudden, that line just pushed that tree back and gave us another layer of depth on here. So I'm pretty happy about that too. I think the only thing on here that I'm not really enjoying as much as I thought I would, or maybe I should, I think is the person. But I wanted to get a person. I definitely wanted an image that had a person in there, and I like the way the person looks in here. So I don't know. I think it looks great. I've signed it. I'm going to be done futzing with it. You can just imagine this little alleyway, which is kind of what it is, this little alleyway. You can just make out enough of some brick pavers around here. You can see this building is closer. It physically looks closer to us. There's more detail. There's more vibrant colors. These ones a little muted, more pushed back there. Maybe you can get in through this door here. I don't know. Maybe you can get in through that door. I don't know. But it definitely looks like a cute little place to be, right? Oh, I can't tell you how happy I am. I'm going to do this. Actually, watch this. Whoop, that's not right. How about this? If I can do it. There you go. There we go. That's what I've added for this week, if I could ever get it right. Now that's in the way. There you go. I just want to say thank you to everybody for sticking with me. Natalie's saying this is a change of style, a wonderful change of style for me. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for hanging with me this week. Even though we're doing something a little different, maybe we'll keep going with it. I don't dislike it. It's just different. There's all a couple more of these, and maybe I'll get a little bit more used to it. Thank you all for hanging with me. Next week, not sure what we're going to do. I do have a general store from Edna Valley, which is only a few miles from here. If anybody wanted to do a Google search on that, you could see that. Another beautiful architecture piece to paint. Until then, I want to say thank you for making my Wednesday evening enjoyable. I hope you had a great day today. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope to see you all again next Wednesday when we do it all over again. Until then, we'll see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.